We have some amazing magic for you today. Yes, I am bringing you my best friend. I am bringing you a birthday boy. I am bringing you the king of the vampires, the one and only Father Sebastiaan. Welcome, welcome, Sebastian. Rock and roll. Thank you. And just coincidentally, it happens to be your birthday. What birthday is it for everyone?
My 480th.
It pays to be a vampire, I tell you. And I'm ahead of that. And you just keep the looks. One of the great benefits to things. So anyway, thank you for coming on. I'm sure almost everybody listening and or watching my show knows Father Sebastiaan because I talk about him all the time, and you see us on social media all over the world all the time. Um, but tell everybody a little bit about who you are, where you started, what is Endless Night, and what is this conglomerate
Oh,
become? Yeah.
well, basically, I make fangs and throw parties for people to wear them. And I'm an Anne Rice fanboy. I love Anne Rice in Interview with the Vampire. And I started basically back in the 1990s going to my prom, and my girlfriend Dawn asked me, "Can you get us fangs for the prom?" Because she had lupus and Lyme disease, and she wasn't very healthy, sadly, and she did pass away a couple years later. But she missed her prom, and she wanted to feel some sense of immortality and power from being a vampire. So she uh, she was the catalyst that got me to get fangs, and I got fangs. But first, I went to my grandfather and I said, "Grandpa, who was an orthodontist, can you make me some fangs for my prom?" And he's like, "You're a Satanist. No, 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 no. You're crazy." So I looked up and I found a fangsmith named Gregor from a company called Strange Blades. And on the 3rd of November, 1993, Dawn and I were at a convention called DEF CON in New Jersey. And we got our custom made fangs made. And it was really cool. We went to the prom and we had a great time. But those fangs led me to so many things. And it eventually led me to becoming a fangsmith myself by working. Everybody asked me where to get the fangs, and I said, they're like, "Your grandfather's a dentist. Why don't you just train under him?" So my aunt came to me and said, "I know a dentist that would be perfect for you." So she put me under the apprenticeship of a dentist, a prosthodontist, like he's kind of like an oral surgeon, and we started a business together called Sabretooth. And I finally felt good about a year and a half later, and I sat my mom down on Christmas Day 1994, and I said, "Mom, I can't afford to give you a Christmas present," because I was 18 at the time, "but I can definitely make you a pair of fangs." And she's a big Anne Rice fan, so she was like, "Let's do it." And I made my first pair of fangs for my mom.
I didn't even know that. That is awesome. That is pretty cool. And that has led to much more than just you make fans and you wear fangs. The Endless Night Ball, I've been to them in, there, in many. I've been to Dallas, New Orleans, which is a big one, Los Angeles, Salem. I think we're going to do one in Paris next year, it looks like.
Yes.
So what is the Endless Night Ball?
Well, Endless Night began as the New York Vampire Ball because I went to um, I was at the Dark Shadows Festival in New York City in 19 June of 1995, making fangs. It was my first professional fang making appearance, and I was making fangs. I made fangs for a Catholic priest named Neil and a reporter, no, not a reporter, a press agent for a band called Typo Negative, and her name was Sandy. And we connected that we were fans of Peter Steele from Typo Negative, which was a vampire band, vampire metal band. And what happened was she dressed like Wednesday Adams all the time, and I really had a thing for Wednesday Adams as an adult. And next thing I know, she's inviting me to New Orleans to go to the Memnock Ball, which was run by the Anne Rice fan club. And this event was the grandest vampire ball in history. There will never be an event of this scale or this caliber again. And I went to the Anne Rice Ball in 1995 in Halloween with Sandy, and it changed my life. and there was people in mansions having parties everywhere. There was hotels full of vampires. There was people dressed up in the French Quarter. And on Friday night, I believe it was October 28th, 1995, I got my velvet coat on. I was 19 years old, and I stood outside of the St. Elizabeth's orphanage at 6 o'clock with Sandy, and suddenly a horse-drawn hearse came around the corner, and two coffins came out, and they propped them up against the posts right in front of the orphanage, and out came Anne Rice, and the crowd went nuts. It was the grandest entrance I could imagine. So this was my introduction to vampire balls, and I realized that there was a community for it in New York, and I needed to have an event that my fan clients could go to that was local. So I created the New York Vampire Ball, which eventually evolved into the Endless Night.
And now it is the thing to do for everybody everywhere.
Yeah, the thing about Endless Night versus other events is that we're global.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a really good party, and it's more than a party. Magic is done there. It truly is. Yes, upstairs there's the best DJs, there's the best bands, and we're going to talk about the upcoming one next month, the LA Ball. And but also there might be downstairs. There might be there's well, there's howling at midnight. Of course, there's ritual. There is magic. There is all sorts of things underneath things as vampires do that just I'm going to tell everybody where we first met. So if everybody doesn't know, we met on Ghost Adventures. It was an episode of Ghost Adventures. It was at Zach's museum. I've done several there. And I didn't know who was there because I never get to know who's anywhere. And I'm locked in the little gypsy cabin, and I see somebody on the floor in my mind. And it was him. It was him. He would have been knocked out by, there's a mirror, Bela Lugosi's mirror, and all this stuff. And we just became fast friends. Just weird. Bloody Mary, a mutual friend of both of ours, was there. And then, of course, Zach and his whole team. But I don't know what it was. But I do remember when you first asked me, you offered me fangs. Well, you want to fang me? And I'm like, well, you're really cute and all that. But I don't know. My idea of vampires, I'm a witch. I'm a medium. I'm a psychic, but I didn't have the right understanding of vampires. It's like thinking psychic vampires on the negative side of what that is. And I'm like, I don't know. So I literally started looking into you, and not just your fang making and parties, your philosophy, your belief system, the religion side of things. And I'm like, and that's when I really fell in love. Oh my God, this is my kind of magic, dressed slightly different deity and working, but it's magic. It's I'm like, oh, okay, fang me.
Well, fangs are magic themselves.
Yes.
A vampire magic.
Yes.
Kind of magic.
A definite kind of magic. And I learned that in acting school when I was young, what they would call mask work. When to get out of yourself, to be a good actor, you have to get out of yourself. So they would do, put on a mask, put on a weird wig. And then you have this personal freedom to be somebody more than you are, somebody different than you are. That's exactly what fangs do, I think. And we've got
fangs do 4 things that I've observed. Would you like to know?
Yes, I would. You are the expert.
Well, these hands have made over 20,000 pairs in the last 25 years. That's my guesstimate of how many I've made. And I have a pretty sizable mailing list of saber-tooth fang clients. So the first thing masks are a mask. Fangs are a mask.
Yeah.
And they psychologically, when you put a mask on, a lot of inhibitions go away. And I came up with this point because when I was in Venice Carnival in 2011, I was walking through the alleys and the streets, and I was looking for this one party that I couldn't find. And a guy in a plague mask costume came up to me and goes like this. And he walks down an alley, down to the canal, and he turns around and he goes like this. It was obviously someone I knew. Okay, because I was at the meet and greet for the event earlier that day, and he walked in the door, and he goes like this, doesn't talk, doesn't speak, and just puts his finger up, and then eventually walks into the room, closes the door, and then a few minutes later, the door opens and a guy in another mask says, "Come in." And I went into this amazing party on a canal that was with a bunch of Fang clients, and I never found out who that guy was in that costume.
Wow.
So you can have these inhibitions released, and you can be somebody else. And Carnival was something that I've been to 3 times, and it was really magnificent with all the secret rooms and corners and mystery. So fangs are a mask. The second thing they are is a connection to your primal nature, because you want to growl and howl and like be primal with it. So primal spirituality. Yeah, you feel like more connected to the great beasts of the wild, like the bear or the lion or the even birds of prey or felines or wolves. Okay, it creates that modern yet predatory kind of vibe. And then fangs are also a magic trick. So every person that wears fangs, they're so real to you and so real to the person talking to you that you can have a suspension of belief, and that's where the fantasy comes in. And of course, the final thing they are is an incredible sex toy, because everybody wants to know what fangs are like to kiss with and have, and they're arousing for some people. So I definitely am a person with a fang fetish. I love seeing ladies with fangs, even some guys, I'll admit. And I just think that fangs are downright sexy.
Oh, they are. They are completely. When you put them in, you are way more sexy immediately. I mean,
Yeah. And you can
and
wear fangs with anything.
your dressy fangs, your not dressy fangs. Yeah, and with being saber tooth, which is a Father Sebastian saying, you do a little oath and ritual when you're. I remember it. You're not seeing. You have, yes, your hands in all of our mouths from all over, and you're doing. It feels like you're at a dentist. It looks like you're at a dentist with the drills and all this stuff, but you don't get to see what's going on. And there's a whole reveal. So tell people you do a little oath and you do a thing and you make promises and
Well, the main thing is that I wanted to make the experience not just getting a pair of fangs to be something that like is like getting a special effects thing. I wanted to create a ceremony that would do it. So over the years, I've developed something called the rites of transformation, and it's varied over the years. But the first thing is I have the client go like this, and they have to say, "By the power of Sebastian, I will not eat with my fangs on. I will not sleep with my fangs on. I can drink with my fangs on. I can smoke with my fangs on. I promise Sebastian that I give him consent to touch my head for the next hour, and I will not look in the mirror until I get permission. And finally, I will have great sex with my fangs on." And people laugh and giggle, and then it creates a mystery. It creates an experience that people go just for the experience with me to get the fangs. And I try to do it with everybody, but I used to have a big book that I'd give names out. And to
Mhm.
this day, I've had at least 100 people change their legal names to the name that they picked out of the book.
Really?
Yeah. But the problem is I only had 10,000 names. I ran out after a couple years. So I give people the ability to create a nightside name or a vampire name. Okay. And I have a couple articles on how to do that and how to research it and how to create a unique name. So that's part of it. And then but the reveal is the most important part. And what happens with the reveal is that they look in the mirror, they close their eyes. I sometimes spin them around 3 times, depending on which country I'm in. Because I've made fangs in 27 countries. Sabretooth is an international community. And what happened was, what happens is that they close their eyes and then they open them up and they look for the first time with their fangs on, and it's amazing. Last
Yeah.
week, I made fangs for the woman who played Pam in True Blood, and she was like, "Wow, these fangs are amazing." and I made fangs for Juliet Landau and Zach Baggins,
Yeah.
and a lot of celebrities come to me and get fangs, and they get them for personal reasons, not just for going on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. The girl you just did from True Blood, her reaction was brilliant because you takes pictures. I have pictures of me going, ah. Her reaction was brilliant to that.
And everybody reacts differently. Some people smile, some people get really serious and go, and some people laugh, some people cry. It's like in Lost Boys when the Frog Brother said, all vampires go out in different ways. Some implode, some explode, some melt, some blah, blah, blah. And it's true. Vampires are born that moment, that second, when you can see something, the gears turning in the person's brain and behind their eyes, and they're really in the moment. And it's so beautiful to see that. And you know, I've started a new company called Sabretooth 3D, which I don't have this experience as deeply with because we're 3D printing vampire teeth now,
It's a
and we're
new
doing a
world.
lot of mail order. So
Yeah.
I'm coming up with ways for people to be able to do the right of the mirror a little bit more
Good.
remotely.
Because not everybody can get here to Los Angeles or wherever you are in those moments. So that's a great ad. So somebody now, everybody out there, I'm sure is going to want to have fangs like we do. So now when they get their fangs, they have something coming. What do they have to do? What do we have coming up just next month on February?
Well, I'm only one guy, okay, and I have a lot of other businesses that I run. So I make fangs in person, which I call OG,
Mhm.
usually for a limited number of people before a vampire ball. Um, when we're moving over to being able to scale up the ability to make more and more fangs by I partnered with a dental lab here in Los Angeles that you can send your impression in, and you can get an impression kit for a specific impression kit that we refer you to, and you can get your fangs, and it takes about 4 to 6 weeks because we're really backed up. But that's the new school. The old school is the ritual and the ceremony, and a lot of people really wait for that. And I take a limited number of appointments for a ball. Don't try to get me the day of a vampire ball; it's impossible because I'm running the event. And it takes about 45 minutes, and you can book on my website, fathersebastiaan.com,
Yeah.
spelled with
So,
two A's.
yeah. So, and you guys do it, I promise. And I'm going to get to our school next. But before we talk about our school and your philosophy and your books, what do we have coming up February 19th? It's vampire time in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's the sixth or seventh annual Los Angeles Vampire Ball, Endless Night, produced by Endless Night Productions. We're going to be at the Globe Theater, which is our perfect venue. It's a theater of the vampire style event. Um, it's it's one of my favorite cities. I mean, I obviously live in LA, but the venue for the Vampire Ball is at the Globe Theater down at 740 South Broadway. And it is just a gorgeous venue. It's got opera boxes, it's got a giant LED display, a great sound system, 3 levels. It's an old Broadway theater, and it's just stunning. And we do it President's Day weekend every year on the Sunday. We're booked out for the next 5 years, so you know that um, President's Day Sunday we're going to do that. And then what we do is we do a pre-party with Bar Sinister, which is their biggest night of the year. So the Vampire Ball here is huge, and we cap it at around 1,200 people because there's so many wings and hoop skirts and hats and spider things coming off people. Uh, the event starts at 9 o'clock for VIPs for the red carpet until 10. Then we have a band called Gene Loves Jezebel, a very old famous goth band that's going to be playing from 10:30 to 11:15, which I'm really excited because I grew up with their music and I've never seen them live. Then at midnight we have The Howl and a special guest that is going to blow everybody's mind that I can't announce yet. It's going to be really cool. We have a very special celebrity guest that we're going to reveal on stage. We might announce the person beforehand, but we had Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows last year, Harvey Guillaume, who is a wonderful host, but he's gotten so successful right now because he's blown up. He was in Puss in Boots. And then at midnight, after midnight, we have a variety act with a fire show or a snake show or a belly dancer. Those will be surprises. And then after a couple of variety acts, we have the best dressed contest. And we, if you want to be participating in that, talk to Johanna Moresco of the Crew Shadows. She's our our best dressed hostess. And then the party goes on to a dance party until 3:00. And then at 3:00, we play the Time Warp, which people wait for all night. And the Time Warp, and it's awesome seeing like 300 people doing the Time Warp on stage and on the balcony and the opera boxes. And it's just a really good closing event. And we love to have fun. We're not taking ourselves so seriously. There's no secret rooms for drinking blood. We like to make our company feel like a dark Disneyland.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's dark Disneyland. Yes.
So that's the.
So anyway, so that's February 19th. And where could people find out about it? Endlessnight.com?
Endlessnight.com. That's the one-stop shop for all Endless Night events and merchandise.
Yeah, great merch. So speaking about merchandise, you do, again, which why I went your way. You have some books if people want to know more about the more magical side of vampirism. Do you have your books with you right now?
I do not. I gave my last copy to a friend who was begging me for it. But what's really cool is on the 1st of February, the audiobook for Black Veils comes out. Okay. So you want to know the difference between the two books, Patty?
Yes.
Okay.
The
black and white one is called Black Veils.
Uh-huh.
And Black Veils is a book that is for everybody that wants to know about the vampire lifestyle, mythology, cuisine, culture, philosophy. There's a little section in the back for magic. And each Black Veil is kind of like an app that you can use. And you pick and choose which Black Veils you like.
Mm-hmm.
And the foreword was written by Rosemary Ellen Guiley, R.I.P., rest in peace, my love, who was a very famous author. And this was her last foreword. And the book is endorsed by G. Tom Mack, who wrote the Cry Little Sister song. And a whole bunch of different people came together to do that. You got a quote in there. And then the Strigoi book is for someone who wants to explore the path of the vampire witch. Okay, that's an initiatory system. And it is about the secrets of immortality and vampire magic.
So you could look like him at 480.
Yeah, right.
However old. Anyway, so yes, you guys check out those books. Can you get them on Endless Night?
You can buy them through endlessnight.com. But you cannot buy the Strigoi book currently through Amazon. It's only a special edition through. It was called Sanguinomicon and Vampire Magic. If you have those books. The Strigoi book is a revised and combined edition of two of them. It's only available in hardcover from the Endless Night website right now. However, it will be going up as an audiobook and a soft cover on Amazon in the next couple months.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so now before we go, we did something a year or so ago because of who you are and because of who I am. We started a school. It really is. To me, it is my passion project of everything. UniversityMagicus.com, or Magic U as we are calling it now. You teach there, I teach there. We have all sorts of other amazing teachers there. What do you want to talk about our school?
Well, University Magicus started because I was in Paris at the time. And my little sister went to me and she's like, I want to get a sweatshirt for the Sorbonne, which is the oldest university in the world. The Sorbonne is the Paris. It's kind of the Harvard of Paris, and she wanted to get a Sorbonne shirt, and I said, uh, they don't do those kind of merchandise, okay, official merchandise, because Europeans don't include sports in school, in university. The university is to study, not play football. Okay. And so I was thinking about it, and I held an event at an Austrian castle that we called Vampworts, or Vamp Camp. And it was a special gathering that I held every other year for my Fang clients at a castle in the Alps of Austria. And I started a magic class, and I'm like, this would be great as a university magicus. So University Magicus got its name from this castle. It was called Berg Finstergrun, if you want to look it up. It's got a little ghost. The pandemic kind of ended that event, but we might start it up again. It was a really, really wonderful experience to have 500 vampires in a castle out in Austria. But it really never took off. I made some sweatshirts for University Magicus and some a logo. And then when you and Nick came to me and said, Nick wants to start a magic school, I was like, all right, I'll try it out. And then we tried this on a diary, and then we wanted to rebrand. And I already had the logo and the brand ready to go. So
Yeah.
that's how University Magicus came to be born as the brand. And we were doing a lot of, like, our organization was not as good as it could be. So I researched programs, and we had a custom program developed that lets us create like a Udemy or a teachable version of the school. So we can now catalog all our classes. We launched on the 21st of December, which was great. But we're finally getting the website working and everything up to date. We're coming Android and iPhone app, and we're rebranding as Magic U. So you can see our logo, University Magic, is magicu.org, and we spell it with an ICK. And we have all sorts of teachers.
Right.
And
All sorts of teachers, vampires, witches, werewolves. Denny's a werewolf. Satanist,
yeah,
Richard Leal, Catholic dude, endless. New Agers. We have New Agers. We're not prejudiced. We don't teach any one belief system. We give them all. So yes, yes, you guys, and it's a really cute logo he came up with. It's beautiful. So yeah, check out our school, magicu.org, University Magicus. Um, and other than that, I don't know what to talk about. I just it's this is like what we do every day. We go up to Lake Hollywood, we work out all the time, we do our Wednesday Vampire Lounge, we travel the world together. I honestly see him way more than I see my husband. I think he sees me way more than he sees his wife. Actually, oh my God, you have an anniversary coming up. Last year
my
at the
first
LA
anniversary.
Ball, I officiated your wedding
Of
to
course, who else could
yes,
do it?
yes, it's you have an anniversary. And I must say that was the coolest wedding I ever did because we did a private daytime one in my backyard in Hollywood Hills, classic black and white garden wedding with a little white chairs and a little arch and a beautiful vampire wedding. And then come that night, 1,200 people and exploding cannons, and it was fun.
And
I'm like
disappearing
dropping.
wives.
It was great. So happy almost anniversary.
Absolutely, thank you. And it's
Yeah,
going to be a great birthday because, Patty, you're taking me out to dinner.
that's right. Yay! I'm taking you out to
Yeah,
dinner.
we're
We're
going to
doing
get
all sorts of
steak.
things for your birthday. Yeah,
Can we
steak.
bring
Oh,
Carrie? I want to bring Carrie.
vampires eat steak.
Yes.
He comes over and brings steak. We all go because vampires eat steak. Though I do know vegan vampires. Yeah, it's a new
There's a
world.
lot of vegan vampires. We should do a special on a class on vegan vampirism.
We should. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think that would be great. Because it isn't. I mean, I talk often how witches are so misconstrued and misunderstood due to Hollywood and books and everything. Vampires are even more misunderstood. But again, to say you're a vampire can mean a lot of things, right? You could. There's lifestyle vampires. There's dress up vampires. There's sanguine.
Guess what I got last night?
What?
Dr. Heather, sent me the first chapter of my biography that she's writing about me.
Yay.
And it was eerie to read some stuff that I completely forgot about from my childhood that she dug up. She's interviewing my mom and my dad.
Wow. Oh, I can't wait.
And yeah, so this Halloween, the vampire Sebastian comes out, and I call her Dr. Heather. She's a professor at Otis University College of Art, and I've been teaching her vampire class every year for the last 6 years, and I'm really honored to have her be writing my biography, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really cool. And she's been on MythBusters and UFO shows, and she's an actual PhD in mythology.
Wow. Wow, that is good. Yeah, no, this is going to be great. I know the part. I even know that you've lived a very colorful life, so and a very magical life. So this will be great. So we have something to look forward to.
It's what I'm really most excited about is sharing the history of the vampire culture from my perspective.
Okay. So what I embrace about the vampire culture, again, I'm learning, I'm studying just like everybody else on it. I love being part of rituals when we do rituals, when I am learning. But what I like about it, which fits into my philosophy, is that again, we embrace life. We crank it up. It just to a hedonistic point of view. That's what I love about this. So um what are some suggestions to anybody, whether they choose to take on the moniker of vampire or not, life tips that you suggest for people? Because this show is all about just what you could do to make your life happier, better, more magical, or by
What
design.
what I think is important about the vampire world is that the perspective of the Black Veils and Strigavai and the Sabretooth Clan and all my projects and everything I do is about empowerment. Okay. Not to dwell on the victim mentality, but to empower yourself to be able to be engaged in life and love life. Have a good time. Okay. No matter what comes your way, it can be handled. And with a positive attitude and an empowered attitude, you can get through almost anything. And life is not fair. And that's the first thing that I teach my students is that life is got shit. Okay. There's going to be bad things that are going to happen, but how you handle them and the vibration of what you do is how it turns out.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So you guys embrace life, empower life. It's your life, nobody else. You're right. We can't control other people, but we can control how we let them affect us. If we let them affect us, and we create our own life. So
Exactly.
one more time. So everybody, we have endlessnight.com. Go find out about the balls and the events and the salons and things all over the world, and fathersebastiaan.com to get yourself some fangs in whichever style. Rock and roll. So thank you again to have my best friend on his birthday and my father of my vampire world. Thank you. I'm honored to have you on. Thank you.